I went to Michigan State growing up in East Lansing, of course. It was a natural, and just because of the economics, I lived at home for the first 3 years that I was at Michigan State and spent my last senior year. Well, it wasn't my senior year. I had spent my fourth year, which was not a senior year, in an apartment. I started off in biological sciences, and after about 2.5 years, my academic advisor called me into the office and said, "Ed, you have not taken one course in biological sciences. I think you have to find something that you want to get into." And my best friend through high school was in packaging. Just talking to him about the courses, it seemed something that had a lot of interest. And at the time, they had management options as well as the technical options. So the management option interested me. So I looked at packaging and went over and met with Mrs. Anderson. Everybody at Michigan State knew Mrs. Anderson. And I got accepted into the upper college on probation, but I got accepted in and really grew to love packaging. My career really started in the undergraduate program because Dr. Goff at Michigan State, the director, probably at Mrs. Anderson's urging, hired me as a research assistant when Frank Bresk from Monterey Research Laboratories and he had gotten together. Jim Goff had found out about damage boundary theory and brought Frank in to the school and exposed him to it with the idea that there might be some application to that kind of testing in the packaging industry. And so they hired me as a research assistant to work with Frank and trying to prove out the theory. So that's how I got started along that whole line. And then when I was close to graduation, Frank and Monterey Research offered me a job in Carmel, California, or Monterey, California. And I think back on it now, I didn't take the job, and I was disappointed in that, but I think it was actually the best because then I started to work for a company called Radak, which was in East Lansing that, again, Dr. Goff and others were starting a testing laboratory in East Lansing. But unfortunately, by the time they hired me and started going, the business really wasn't there. So after about 6 months into that, the operation closed down. So I went back to Mrs. Anderson and got accepted into the master's program, again conditionally, because I didn't quite have the overall grade point to get in, but she accepted me in, and that got me started on my master's program. And during the time period there, I was a teaching assistant at that time. Frank Bresk and Bill Kipp came back into the picture because Monterey Research Laboratories was bought out by MTS in Minnesota. And they were moving the operation back there, and Frank and Bill did not want to move back out of lovely Monterey, California, back to the snow of Minnesota. So we got talking with Ken Harizny, who was another graduate assistant with me, about the possibility of starting our own testing equipment company. So that's how Lancemont Corporation really came about. So we went ahead and started Lancemont, and I was still in graduate school there, but we joined the research consortium that they had there, which allowed us to use their testing equipment as a test lab. So we started doing two things. Frank and Bill started inventing and developing and engineering the testing equipment we wanted to manufacture and sell. And Ken and I started doing testing in the laboratory, proving out more theories and developing. Actually did the one and only package design I ever did was a DuPont body analyzer testing program that we developed for DuPont there at the School of Packaging. So that's how we got rolling. and things developed from there. I really didn't finish my master's degree, and we started Lansmont and started doing that. It wasn't until Steve Pierce, another one of the key people in the whole equation, who was at Michigan State, and my major professor at the time, said he was going to leave and go to work at Kodak because they wanted to create a testing laboratory. So I quickly finished my master's thesis, and we graduated, and Lansmont was on the roll then.